It's the final countdown. You boys and girls know how this works. We are going to get to your questions here in just a few minutes. But first, we got to react to all the news that just came down. You probably know this, but if you don't, I'll just throw it down there again. We got Lamar Jackson out, I think by far and away, right? The biggest news there, Lamar is out. They do get Latavius Murray back, though. James Robinson, Taysom Hill, both in. Marquise Brown is out too. Allen Robinson's out. Elijah Mitchell is officially out. Donovan Peoples-Jones is officially out. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. And JSU, just talking to you before the show started, it seems to me that after all of this injury news, tell me if I'm wrong here, but you think the guy that gets the biggest bump is David Montgomery? True or false?
Yeah, I mean, I already really like David Montgomery. He was already someone I was kind of bumping up this morning with just like his price tag, the fact that I thought he was going to fall like kind of in between the cracks with like Mark Ingram right below him, Jeffrey Wilson right below him, AJ Dillon, James Conner above him. I thought like he could be someone that maybe some people would forget about, where like on a normal slate without value, David Montgomery, regardless of Lamar in or out, would be chalky as hell at 5.5K. I mean, you're talking about a running back coming off of a kind of serious injury for the most part. And right away, he's got 85% of the workload first game back. I mean, that's pretty interesting. That kind of tells you what the Bears do as a team, what they think of David Montgomery. They want to use him. They want him to be the bell cow, whatever it is. And if he's going to get that type of workload at 5.5K, and I think I can get an ownership, maybe he's a lower owned because maybe he's just in that pricing range where there's so many others, then yeah, I'm going to like him a ton. And then you get the Lamar news where now I think a lot of people think the Bears are going to win this game, and I don't blame them. So I like the Bears now at home, even though their defense is, man, they've lost so many good defensive, well, for their team anyways, like they're good defensive players. I mean, from Akeem Hicks, who handles the run game, Khalil Mack, the pressure in the quarterback. I think Eddie Jackson as well is out too, Holden. So
yeah, their whole defense is just decimated. They have no pass rush.
No, their pass rush was Khalil Mack, and now he's gone.
So hold on a second. You're going to laugh at me. Tyler Huntley, 4,100, basically a free square at quarterback. Just load up everywhere.
So last week we had this similar situation with Mason Rudolph, right? A little different because I think the matchup was drawing people, Pittsburgh, before Mason Rudolph got the quarterback spot. But similar in like, oh, he's cheap. If he gets me 15, I'm good. And it's like, well, that's great. Right. But if Dak or Patrick Mahomes puts up 35 or Josh Allen puts up 35 or 40, good luck. Good luck chasing down my teams with Dak and Mahomes and Allen. If they put up 40 and you got your 15 from Huntley, it's like, I get it. What you would want, Holden, right, is like, okay, you would want that game to bust. So like if I play Huntley, I want Zeke. I want to find paths where the game goes under. Maybe I play Zeke in the Cowboys defense and hope that Mahomes starts turning the ball over again, which he's done for a lot of the year. And guess what the Cowboys defense has done a lot of the year? They've created turnovers. That's the one thing they've done for majority of the year is create turnovers. So if I was playing someone like that, I would really be trying to focus on playing guys that like could be negative towards the Mahomes and Dak teams going off. So that's how I would look at it, but I can't do it. I mean, James Prochet is a 3K guy that I'm sure they've worked together. And we talked about this before, like chemistry with your quarterback. Look at Mason Rudolph, James Washington. They've had chemistry forever. First drive of the game, James Washington catches a touchdown. Like there is something to be said for, chemistry, someone who works with the quarterback on a daily basis. And I'm sure Prochet worked a lot with Huntley. So he would make some sense at 3K if you're MMEing.
Real quick, Prochet was going to play the Marquise Brown role anyways today.
Yeah, so. Well, I think kind of sets up, right? Hey, Lamar's out. Oh, Marquise Brown's out now too. Okay, perfect. We got Huntley and Prochet. It's like
Right.
Lamar's got his issues, man. Like to be sick, I've talked about this before, but like, how are you sick like 6 weeks in a row? Like,
I gotta tell you, I've had a year like that, and it happened just
have
a
you?
few years ago. It
But
never stopped.
okay, but hold on,
But I
hold
have
it.
kids.
You're not an elite athlete either. Like
Well,
Lamar is when we talk about elite
yeah,
athletes, like Lamar is the elite of the like
yes.
his athleticism is off the friggin' charts for a quarter. Like it's wild how athletic that dude is. And you have to assume he's in really good shape. Now maybe he's not. Maybe I don't know. He's just got a shitty immune system. It's possible, but it's just wild to me that professional athlete and you're struggling, with this much sickness. I hope he figures it out and gets it right.
It happens. Guys just
Yeah.
listen, man. Guys just get sick. I don't know. Maybe he has a freaking tapeworm. He always looks like he's got a poop though.
All I know, Holden, is that you like being a professional athlete. One of your jobs is to have your body taken care of. Look at like LeBron James. He says he spends like $1 million or $2 on his body every year to stay in great shape and stay healthy and
He
stuff
misses
like
half
that.
games.
He does, but I'm trying to make a point. Like, Lamar might want to start putting some more money into. I don't know, trying to stay healthy and in shape.
All right. So what else do we got here? I'm just looking at. Let's talk about your course for a second. JSU. We're all on Dak Prescott this week. We like Wilson, AJ Dillon, Tyreek Hill, Michael Gallup, Dalton Schultz. That's the DK side. What was the change on the FanDuel side to the core? Because the JSU's FanDuel core has changed just a little bit.
Yeah. So I added David Montgomery for AJ Brown. So I took out AJ Brown, added David Montgomery. So I got 3 running backs in there, 3 guys: Jeff Wilson, David Montgomery, and AJ Dillon. I love those 3 guys. Love the price points on those 3 guys. Love the Bears defense too at 3.5K on FanDuel. That's a pretty nice price tag. Now you got other good defenses too. Panthers at 4.41, I think is a solid price tag. That's a good defense too, by the way. I've been saying that for weeks. Panthers have a good defense. So other ways to go. I think Philly's not a crazy option either at 3.9K on FanDuel. You got obviously Cleveland. You can go San Francisco route and pair Jeffrey Wilson with them. Totally fine with those options. But yeah, I think David Montgomery's set up in a really good spot where if he's gonna get all the work, he's so cheap, and the Ravens have not been good against the run either this year. So I'm fine with attacking them. One thing I wanted to hit on, though, well, there's a couple of things I want to hit on, but the first thing I wanted to hit on is the San Francisco. So I swear no one watches the freaking games. If I will tell you this, I love Jeffrey Wilson today. There are 2 teams in my mind where I could give a shit what the matchup is. If it's that team running the football and there's a running back behind them who is going to get most of the work, obviously, I want them. And it's Cleveland and it's San Francisco. Those are the 2 teams that I could care less who they face on a weekly matchup. I could care less. Doesn't matter. Give me the toughest run D. Maybe outside of Tampa Bay, maybe I would have no problem playing them against anyone else. So one of the things I have an issue with, though, Jeffrey Wilson is not going to play like 100% of the snaps. Let's be honest about this right now. If people watched the game last week, they would have seen that Deebo Samuel last week, when Jeffrey Wilson was getting work and Elijah Mitchell was getting work, Deebo Samuel lined up as a running back. And most people probably, who don't know, maybe they just looked at the score and says, oh, he had 5 attempts rushing. They probably thought they were end arounds, or, they find creative ways to get him the football. Holden, you've watched San Francisco. They've been doing this forever. They want those guys in space. No, they lined him up as a freaking running back, but like literally right behind Jimmy G in the eye, and ran him through the middle. His touchdown run was a legit run. Like he ran between the tackles. Like they're going to do that here. So I love Jeffrey Wilson. But Deebo Samuel is right after Tyreek Hill as my favorite play of the day. If we're talking about studs, because Deebo Samuel is not only going to line up as a wide receiver, but he's also going to line up at running back. And those guaranteed touches are huge. This dude is going to go nuts. And then what's going to happen, Holden, is Deebo Samuel and Jeffrey Wilson, they're going to pound him on the ground because that's what they do. And then in the second half, you're going to see Deebo Samuel catch a friggin' short slant route right across the middle of the field and run 60 friggin' yards for a touchdown.
You're right.
Because you know what happens? The San Francisco 49ers coaching staff, they do this on purpose. And you wonder why Deebo has these big plays towards the end of games. This is why, because San Francisco pounds the football. And then what happens is in the second half, the linebackers are trying to help out in the run game and they suck up on the run game. And Deebo comes across the field, it looks like one-on-one against a cornerback and just beats him for a 10-yard slant. And then he ends up running 50 more yards because he beats the safety because he's that damn fast. And this is what's going to happen. Jacksonville is going to eventually need to help stop the run game. And then Deebo is going to have a monster play in the receiving game. So I think you have upside I think Deebo is playing running back, receiver, and you're getting Jeff Wilson, who's going to also play probably like 50% of the snaps at running back. So I love them both today. I think San Francisco absolutely pounds on Jacksonville. I mean, let's be honest, the Colts, they let up on Jacksonville. That's what they did. They let up.
I'm mildly concerned about a letdown, to be perfectly honest with you, but I do. One of my 6 lineups has a Jimmy G quarterback.
No.
That's it. No, not happening.
No.
Okay.
It's not happening.
Good. I like it. Anything else to get to here before we start getting to the questions? We do have an hour from now.
Deebo did not run the ball more than Wilson. Let's be honest. Wilson had 10 attempts. Let's not say that.
I don't think
not
Wilson
go
gets
too far.
20 carries.
But Deebo had 5 rushing attempts. He did not have more than Wilson.
He's not getting 5 carry attempts this week either. It's probably not going to happen that Deebo gets 5. 3?
I think he gets 5.
You think Deebo gets 5 carries?
I think they hate Sermon that much.
They do hate Sermon.
I think they hate him that much.
Wow.
Well,
okay.
And I'll say this too. Game script will obviously change this because if for somehow you think it's a letdown and they get down in this game, maybe then we see less Deebo in the backfield and more of him, lined up as a receiver. But if they get up, I think they're just going to try and find ways to get them in space. Tambo, what's the bet? I don't know what bet you want. You got to say a player to get a bet.
What did he say?
Just ask me
a bet.
He's just said, "What's the bet?" Say a player.
Okay, say a player, bro.
Come on, Tambo.
Can we
pick a guy who's going to actually get more than 15 points?
Tambo, you already derailed your show. You don't need to derail our show. That's all I'll say, Tambo. Pick a player and throw it out there, pal. JJ from the bet side will be joining us. Let's talk about some of these players here. If there's anything else, obviously we got an hour to work it in, but Jay Reed wants to know if we got any interest in Matt Breida, and I just don't know why there would be any reason to go there.
No, I have no interest in Matt Breida. Buffalo has so many weapons. You know what I do, though? I did add in my player pool, Josh Allen because I think a real nice Josh Allen stack that you can get on the cheap is Dawson Knox, Cole Beasley. I think Cole Beasley could get some work. A ton of work in the short passing game. And I like Dawson Knox as a tight end. If you're not playing my boy Schultz, who's my favorite tight end, if you're not playing him, I do like me some Dawson Knox. Josh Allen's, it's his boy too. 4K at tight end spot. I think that could be a nice little stack. And Josh Allen, I think Josh Allen stacks will be owned, but I think a lot of people who run them will run them with Steph Diggs and one of the cheap receivers and not both of them. So I like both cheap guys with Josh Allen.
I was just trying to find this thing here. There was a nice little note that I had written about Cole Beasley. It might take me a minute to find it, which is bad television, but that's fine. It's just, here it is. So he was really their 5th wideout last week. and he's got a rib injury, and he played 9 snaps. And I just like I don't have a good feeling for him this week. But that's just me, JSU. That's just me playing devil's advocate there. But I don't like Beasley this week at all.
So you think he's going to be limited again?
I think those ribs are bothering him, and yeah,
I remember too, Holden. Do you remember a few weeks ago where they were like, "Oh, he played less, but it was like game dependent."
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like in games where they just get up, he's hooked. So maybe that is a concern, I guess. If they get up and he's injured, they're just going to pull him because he's not feeling great. Do you think they just smash Indy?
I don't know if I think they put up points. But here's the other thing. Like, if they don't use him, they're not using Sanders for underneath routes, but now they got Dawson Knox back. And we saw when Dawson Knox was in there, Beasley did not get the same volume. When Dawson Knox was gone, that's when Beasley started going bananas. So now we got Dawson Knox in.
The only reason why I like it is because I think that the Colts are better, are a better team as we've gone through the year. Mm-hmm. And I think they can hang with the Bills. And if they can hang with the Bills, I think it means more Beasley on the field. Now, if the Bills just get up, though, then you're right. He's probably hooked. Maybe it's the injury, though. Maybe I should look more into that. And maybe I should just play Dawson Knox. I don't know.
I do like Dawson Knox again, though.
Yeah. You're scaring me off some Beasley, though, I will say.
Well, I mean, listen, if it hurts you next week, feel free to shit on me, but I'm just giving you my thoughts on the dude, and I got an under bet on his receiving yards. And
you bet under on his receiving yards? What was the yardage prop?
46.5.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Between the injury and Knox coming back, he's just not it's not for me. But
Donko, what do you think of this game? Do you think the Colts can hang?
Hello, gentlemen. Yeah, one of my favorite bets of the day. Colts alternate at 7.5. Got that minus 120 at FanDuel. Yeah, so to me,
you're such a Colts homer, JJ.
I do have
Carson Wentz lover.
I do have some Carson Wentz, heart in me. But so for me, this all comes down to, will the Colts actually finish their possessions with points? Because it's one of the strangest teams in the league with how well they can accumulate yardage and how low their scoring volume tends to be. Despite that, they just do a lot of weird things when they get into the red zone. Frank Wright in this offense, super good between the 20s, but once they get past there, it's like things get a little rough. And Buffalo's been forcing a tremendous amount of turnovers in the red zone this year, which maybe you call it luck, maybe, I don't know, but they've been playing well there. To me, I think it's a big number. I think the Colts are playing, some of the best football they've played all year. Taylor's running as good as he's been all, between last year and this year. They should be able to keep pace with Buffalo, who finally played a complete game. Maybe they take that big breath against the Jets, and maybe get caught a little bit with their pants down here. I think it's a big number. I think this number assumes that if this game being in Indy would be like, Indy plus 2.5. To me, it's a big number. And the Colts typically, unless you get one of those Wentz blackout type of games, the Colts can keep games within a touchdown against almost any team in the league, I'd argue.
Okay. So what do you think now, JSU?
I mean, it makes me, if JJ likes the Colts to hang in this game, it makes me like the Josh Allen side a little bit more for sure. So yeah, I'm on board. I still like the Josh Allen stack. Definitely Dawson Knox for sure. Cole Beasley. I only got him. It's only one lineup, so I don't mind taking a risk with my one Josh Allen team, but it does concern me. You bet the under prop on his 46.5 receiving yards. But let's move on.
The part that sucks with an Allen stack, because I'm trying to make it work. It's just that the problem is you play Allen, you almost feel committed to play Diggs. Yeah. And I mean, you could go.
That's how I think everyone feels, though, JJ. It's like everyone feels that way. So I wanted the two cheap pairing. Maybe I should play Sanders instead of Beasley, though. Maybe that's just the easy answer. He's out on the field. He gets the.
You don't know how many snaps he's going to get, right? He's like kind of limited.
Yeah, that's what Holden was saying too. Is the rib injury scaring him a little bit?
That's basically the number one thing. Well, the number one thing is Dawson Knox being back. The number two thing is the rib injury. They are 1 and 1A for me. So watch him go for like 9 for 190 today. But Again, I got my money on an under with him, so this is not just me
All
saying.
right, maybe I'm gonna have to figure out a way to get Manny Sanders in instead. I will say Manny Sanders and Steph Diggs, they're pretty much equal when it comes to like everything, like red zone like goal line target, like all this stuff. That he's right there with Diggs, and there's obviously a monster price difference. Yeah, maybe the route is going Sanders.
All right. JJ, let's talk about some bets here, buddy. And then we're going to get to all your questions, guys and girls in the chat. We're absolutely going to get to all your questions like we normally do. But let's go, JJ. What are we looking at right now, betting wise?
Yes, as I mentioned, Colts at the alternate spread of 7.5. I don't know what the current markets are. I'm fine with 7. It's always nice to have that little hook in your pocket, especially if the line's fair. And I felt it was at FanDuel in the middle of the week. Other best bet for me, especially in the earlies, is the Vikes over their team total, 23.5. This is just right back to the Kirk Cousins 1 o'clock narrative. They just play better offense with him in this time slot. It doesn't really matter who it's against. It doesn't matter if they're home or away. I like the fact that they're playing the Packers, who should put a little pressure on them to score, even though the Packers, believe it or not, have had their own offensive issues most of the season. Even when Aaron Rodgers has been healthy with Devontae Adams. I could be wrong. I think they've gone over 28 points once this year, I think, the Packers. So, yeah, they've had some issues really piling on. But the argument of if Minnesota is trying to win this game, the Packers likely get 24 or 21 at least, which would force Minnesota to at least get to 24, and that's the team total. I do have concerns over how good Aaron Rodgers will be against this Vikings secondary. I know that we get the safety back today. I think Harrison Smith is back.
Yep.
Yeah, he's back, and Peterson's back too. Patrick Peterson's back.
Yeah, Peterson's dust.
Okay.
But Smith is it's good to have Smith back. I'll tell you this though, I don't think it matters. Aaron Rodgers just has his team's number offensively. He's had it for the last few years. I mean, you can say that about anybody, but surprisingly, he's like absolutely pounded Minnesota. So I'm a little weary on if Green Bay decides to explode today offensively, but I still think Minnesota is going to get theirs. I feel more confident in that end than Green Bay. So yeah, Minnesota team total over 23.5.
Okay, those are the two bets. So let's keep talking some DFS though. We got a lot going on here. Questions. Let's get to those right now, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, before we do that, who's your highest exposure to in DFS today? Who are your guys? JJ.
So for me, I'll jump on the chalk bandwagon with Wilson. And I'm actually not going to be as high on Tyreek Hill. I think a lot of people are going to be on Hill today for obvious reasons. I just like, for me at his price in that game with all the options in it, he'd literally have to have like a 3-score, I think a 2-score game at least to get you where you would want to be for value. So I'm definitely going to be lower leverage on a guy like Tyreek Hill. And I'm more scattered. Like I don't have that game stacked, to be honest. Like I have obviously outs in that game, and I do have 1 or 2 lineups that's built around that game. But for the most part, I'm going in other directions. Like JSU in your lineup construction. Are you going like 75% that game? Are you going like 50% that game?
Yeah.
What do you look like?
So I'm heavy Dak. And I'm heavy stacking it with Dalton Schultz and Michael Gallup is how I'm kind of going about it. I think Schultz
cheap options. Yep.
Yeah, I think Schultz is the underowned, forgotten type guy for Dallas because he's had a few bad games, but no Amari, no Blake Jarwin still. Casey Sorensen, Hitch, they've been bad against the tight end. I mean, Sorensen's been awful. He finally got a pick, I think it was last week, and you just saw, I think the camera went on him, and they were still talking about how like he's been so bad, and you could tell it was like a relief that he did something finally. But like I watched that game, even in coverage, I saw multiple times where he was awful, and like guys were wide open and didn't get the football, but like could have easily. And I think Dallas is going to exploit it, especially with no Cooper. I think it's more leans me to think the tight end's going to be more involved in this game, in this matchup specifically, because I think they have a plus matchup here. And Dalton Schultz, who's in my opinion, a good tight end, very good tight end. He dropped the touch. Dak and him missed on a wide open touchdown in the back of the end zone last week. I think it was last week against Atlanta, whenever that was. And I think this is a spot where he gives you a big game. And I hope people forget about him. There's so many tight ends too, Dunkel. Like, everyone's tight end exposure, I feel like, is spread out. Where if I go heavy on Dak, I'm just going to go heavy on Dalton Schultz because I know people aren't going to go heavy on Dalton Schultz. So that's just the way I'm going. And then a cheaper receiver. We all think Cedric Wilson sees more of the snaps as like the third wide receiver in passing downs. I will just say they like Noel Brown. They use him a lot for run blocking purposes, but I could see it like split, right? Where Cedric Wilson's not going to get like 70% of the snaps. I don't think. Like he's gonna get less than that, but I still think in obvious three passing downs with three wide receivers, he's the receiver on the field. So he's in play at 3.2, but that's the way I'm going. And then I do like Hill. Just the volume is insane. Like the volume that he's getting is ridiculous. And I love the matchup if Diggs is going to guard him specifically, because I love guys who are overly aggressive, who take chances against Tyreek Hill, because they can't help themselves. They think they're just as good. They want to beat them. Diggs has shown that he'll jump routes. I'll tell you right now, if you're guarding Tyreek Hill, good luck, because I wouldn't be risking, jumping anything unless you're for sure going to get it, because Tyreek Hill, one missed tackle, one wrong jump, he's gone. Like, gone. So I think there's a big play. And Diggs has been, even though he's been getting turnovers, he's also been one of their worst corners lately, just like giving up big plays. I've seen him give up multiple big plays the last few weeks. He will give up big plays. I think this is a perfect spot if they're going to put Diggs on him, where Tyreek Hill is going to use his aggressiveness against him, and you're going to see some big Tyreek Hill plays because of it. Not because he's a bad corner. It's just the way he plays, I think, gets him in trouble against Tyreek Hill.
Hey guys, let's get some questions here. B Cox, 7x77. Can you rank Tyreek, Debo, Adams, and Diggs? Tyreek, Debo, Adams, and Diggs.
Tyreek, Debo, Diggs, Adams.
Ooh, Adams number 4. Okay. DK single entry, Browns defensive special teams, or leave 500 on the table and take the Panthers. So basically, Junior wants to know Browns or Panthers
Browns.
in a vacuum. Browns?
Play Browns. Tim Boyle? Yeah.
Whew. Yeah. What are you fooling about?
The Detroit quarterback.
Oh, yeah, it's bad. Yeah. There's a lot of bad quarterbacks today. Tyler Huntley.
When Jared Goff was clearly injured last game and they still kept rolling him out there at the end, I was like, man, they must really think very, very low of the backup situation.
What do you think of the Bears defense today? Tony loved them, but a lot of injuries.
I still like them, especially with the correlation pairing with David Montgomery. I think it makes a lot of sense if you're heavy David Montgomery. And the Bears are cheap. You're not paying a premium price tag for the Bears. You know what I mean? They're $2,500, $3,500 on FanDuel. Just to give perspective, like Raiders, Washington football team, Jets, Seahawks, these are the defenses around them. Like, yes, give me the Bears over all those teams. I will take the Bears here against Huntley and take my shot. And it's in Chicago too. That helps a little, just being at home. So I do like them. I think that's a good point. We haven't talked about Joey Burrow though. I think that's the other. I think that's the other game that gets ownership. I don't know, Dunkel, what do you think of it? I think that's the second highest owned game.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the problem is that everybody's going to probably want to play Chase, who's a bit kind of overpriced.
I don't like him.
Mixon's in a good spot, but again, his price is probably about where it should be. You're not getting him at value. My issue with that game is I think it's worth it to stack. It's hard because when you choose to stack that game, you really limit your lower priced options everywhere else. Like, it's not like you can stack that game cheap and feel good about it. You could play like Carr and overpriced Renfro, or you could play Carr and underpriced Waller, who hasn't been playing that well.
What about Bryan Edwards?
Yeah, I mean, you would feel comfortable with him?
Love him.
Honestly, he's been playing better, Dunkel. I will say he's been playing better. He's more involved in the offense. He's clearly, by the way, like on the outside, he's like, it's no shot. He's by far their best receiver. Because Darren Waller's getting all the attention. Like all the attention in the world's going to Darren Waller. Edwards is just sitting there, 4.1. I think you could make a nice little Joe Burrow, my favorite way to stack it is kind of how you were saying. It's either you could go the Mixon route with either T. Higgins or CJ Uzoma, or go the cheap route with T. Higgins and CJ Uzoma, and then play a Bryan Edwards on the comeback. Raiders are bad against the tight end. Also, the Raiders, one reason I don't like Chase, I wrote this up. So Joe Burrow is good against cover 3. The Raiders do play cover 3. He is not as like him and Chase, though. They do well as a pairing. Chase has had big plays against teams that blitz more. And that's shown. The Raiders blitz the least in football. So I think it's a spot where Chase being overpriced and in a matchup where I don't think is the best, not from like a coverage, like, Casey no, I don't care about Casey Hayward or whoever covers him. He could easily beat anyone they throw on him. But I just think the way they're going to play in the style, I think it sets up more for T. Higgins, CJ Uzoma in that game, as opposed to paying for an expensive Jamar Chase. Again, where most of his plays are coming off of blitzes and him being one-on-one and then just being able to beat that corner. I mean, how many go routes, Dunkel, as he had for touchdowns this year? It's got to be like at least 4 or 5.
Yeah, it's been a lot.
Yeah.
I'm a big Bryan Edwards guy, by the way, and he's so cheap. Love it. Love it as a run back. Let's get back to some questions here. All the way up. Finrod, the master of mojitos. What do you think of Lockett? 6K seems cheap. Have not heard a lot of Lockett talk this week.
Yeah, I think it's because Russell Wilson is not being talked up because of how bad he was last time out. And now we get Tyler Lockett, who, when people look at the price tag, it just jumps out because it's like 6K Tyler Lockett. The one thing I just caution, I hate those type of plays where just the price tag is forcing you to look his way, because it's going to force everyone to click on his name. I don't hate the matchup, though. Like, the matchup is fine. I just think he is going to get ownership because of that price tag. And so for me, I'd rather go to like DK Metcalf, who I think is half Lockett's ownership and is only 800 more. And I could still say that at 800, that's still a value price tag for DK Metcalf, who can beat anyone. I'm not worried about his foot injury. I thought last game had more to do with Russell Wilson. You saw that in how many checkdowns Gerald Everett got. I mean, 8 targets, 8 catches. Like, Russell Wilson was clearly, he was worried about his hand. He didn't want to hit anyone. He was just getting rid of the football quick. So I think, hopefully he takes more shots down the field. Arizona, you can beat them like deep. Their secondary is not that good. Their defense is not as good as maybe it was at the beginning of the year, or maybe people thought. The Arizona defense is actually can be beat, and I think Seattle could take advantage of it if Russ has time. That's the other key too. He's got to have time.
Oh boy. Do you think Huntley's viable at 4.1K? We talked about that. He's hitting his opto RH. I mean, fine, but you're gonna have to hit every single other position to catch up to what Mahomes, Prescott, some of these other guys could do. So that's how we talked about it.
Yeah, I mean, Mason Rudolph was probably hitting some people's too that week. Like,
only good is this dude runs.
That's the only good thing, is he does run. So yeah, I get it. I mean,
he's a YOLO. Any Traquan Smith love today? VIP.
I think it's actually a good matchup in the slot where he runs a lot of his routes against Avonte Maddox. I don't have much from this game, though. That's my only issue. Is it's just not a game that is very appealing to me. The Saints aren't a team that I love to pick on either. I will give Jalen Hurts his credit. I've made fun of him a few times this year last week was probably the best game he's played all year or his whole career, honestly, from a throwing perspective. He made some really, really good throws that I didn't know he could even make. And it was impressive. So maybe I should have some more interest in this game, but I just don't love picking on the Saints. They're a team that I don't like targeting. I think they have just a solid overall team. I think the way they play kind of just pound the football. Trevor Siemian back there. Taysom Hill's going to play too. So it's just not a good game environment, in my opinion, to go to. But I do think Traquan is a good matchup, VIP.
What's today's date? It's not the 20th. No, Cedric Wilson's birthday was yesterday. Sorry, pal. He's not getting a birthday touchdown. Don't worry about it. I'm just talking to myself. West Coast Gem, Debo or AJ Brown?
Ooh, love those guys.
Gotta be Debo, right?
I mean, it's Debo. Yeah, it's Debo. I will say AJ Brown though, good matchup. Houston can't tackle. Get him the ball out in space, and they will struggle. I mean, everyone struggles to tackle AJ Brown. He's a friggin' behemoth. He's a monster. Like literally, he's huge. I mean, he is. He's just huge. But Debo has to be in the better spot. Dunkel, do you know the kid that Jacksonville is gonna kind of like shadow him with? Was it Barrett? The kid who was from Seattle. He played in Seattle
Shaq
for like
Barrett?
most of his.
No,
yeah,
that's a lot. He's a linebacker.
No, it's not him then. It's the other one. It's his brother. Isn't he on the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Brother's a corner, so
yeah.
Whatever.
Isn't he on the Jaguars now? Isn't he on the Jaguars though? Correct?
That I'm not sure of. Could be right.
I think he's on the Jaguars. And the two times Debo played him in 2019, I actually looked this up because I'm pretty sure I'm right. Over 100 yards in both games. Like, this matchup's not going to end well. I'm telling you right now, Debo might be the best play overall. He just might be the best spend up overall.
What? Wow. He is the star that gets overlooked every week.
Dude, I'm telling you, I'm so mad because every week I don't play him, and every week I scratch my head going, why don't I play Deebo Samuel?
I know.
The dude just he gets every game, Dunkel, he has at least one big play where it seems like he's taking it 60 yards. And it's like, what the fuck am I doing here? I get like at least one big play every game, sometimes two. Like, why aren't I playing this guy?
What do you think Wilson's ownership is today?
50%. There's so many good running backs. So many good. Like on FanDuel, he'll be 90. But on DraftKings, I think more like 50, I would say.
50?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say 50.
Montgomery or James Conner?
Yeah, I was right. Shaquille Griffin. Griffin. That's what I meant.
Shaquille. So one Shaq and one Shaquille.
Yes.
Montgomery or James Conner for Alec?
Ooh. I ended up having more Montgomery. So
More Montgomery. What do you think about that, JJ? I'm interested in your thoughts. Conner or Montgomery today?
So Montgomery probably makes more sense knowing that Lamar's out and Chicago will have a better opportunity to have more ball control today. And the best part of Montgomery, him being, 3 down back, game script independent, whether winning or losing, it won't matter. I still think he's priced too cheap, so it makes sense. There's just a lot of value today at running back. But comparing the two, I prefer Montgomery.
You prefer Montgomery when comparing the two. Do we need a run back from the Chiefs side from Dante J? They're pretty expensive, he says. You need a run back if you're rolling with the Dak and the boys?
Donkey, I was talking on mute. If you want a cheap run back, I think you do, because I think there are just, I just don't, there are going to be points on both sides of this game. I feel it. I think that Mahomes, it finally clicked in his head that he has to just be okay with checking down if there's nothing. We clearly saw it. I mean, Darrell Williams got more work. The running back got more work in the passing game last week. You can take out the crazy touchdown catch he had, which was a ridiculous catch, by the way. But take that out, he still had so much work in the passing game, and it's because they were running design screens. They were checking the ball down to him if the deep option wasn't there. Mahomes wasn't forcing it as much. That was his problem, in my opinion. I think it was him. Maybe he's a little cocky too because he knows he's just great, but he was just taking shots that he shouldn't have took early in the year, and he just kept doing it. Every game, he'd have a crazy turnover where you're like, why did he make that throw? Like, what are you doing? But it was just Mahomes, and it was just Mahomes being Mahomes, and he did it all the time. He did it last year too, and the year before. He didn't turn the ball over as much those years because they somehow worked and everyone praised him for it. And then all of a sudden he starts making crazy plays and the balls are starting to get turned over early in this year. And everyone's going nuts. Like, what's wrong with Mahomes? No, he's the same guy. It's just the defenses are playing him a little different. And Mahomes is still trying to be Mahomes. He's still trying to make Tyreek Hill down the field happen no matter what, which, honestly, that's the one thing that I don't care if you put 2 or 3 guys on. Tyreek Hill could beat 3 guys down the field. Like, that is the one thing that is so hard to guard. But either way, that's what the issue was with Mahomes. I think Andy Reid must have finally gotten through to him like, hey, listen, we're not in first place here. We got to win some games. You can't be doing this. Like, we can't be turning the ball over. We're way too good of a team. We need to be able to get some drives and move down the field as an offense. We can't be letting teams off the hook because they are essentially letting teams off the hook when Mahomes does that crap. That's what they're doing because their offense is elite.
It's really, really interesting, some of these things. Okay, let's keep going with these questions. Stan, DKGPP, McCaffrey said, well, this is a 3v3, guys. CMC, Cedric Wilson, Kelsey, or Dylan Lamb Montgomery? Ooh, that's interesting.
That is a good
Dylan
one.
Lamb Montgomery, McCaffrey, Wilson, Kelsey.
That is a good one. I think for cash, the second one. I think for tournaments, the first.
I agree with Dunkel.
You're with Dunkel? Okay. What about a Cam McCaffrey Robbie double stack from KML? Not a lot of people be on it.
I don't get the Cam love. I don't know. I might be wrong. I don't get it though. 5,100 is cheap. Yes, he runs. Yes, he's going to check. I mean, if you're stacking them, yes, stack McCaffrey with them. But I don't know, Dunkel. Am I missing something here with Cam? Like, he's gonna he's gonna get ownership. Is what I'm saying too.
If he starts, I mean, obviously he's starting, but I mean, he plays the whole game. I guess there's the chance he gets back. He's just such an inaccurate thrower. Like, to me, at 5,100, he's not going to throw for like 350 yards today. So you're going to need him to like literally score twice himself, in my opinion, because he's not even going to run that much. Because when you think about it, like even last year, like he ran a bit like the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, and then like his numbers were like 30 rushing yards, 25 rushing yards. He just doesn't have that breakout speed anymore that he once did, which again, it makes it difficult. I just think at 5,100, you want to win a tournament with him, you're going to need like a 25 burger from him. And the way you're getting there is if he scores twice. So do you think he's going to score twice? If you do, play him in tournaments. In cash, I guess he's not a crazy option either, all things considered, because you can go other ways at other positions instead of, paying up at quarterback. But even still, it's such a blah, in my opinion.
Such a blah to your opinion?
Blah, like
You know what he means, Holden.
Teddy ball game. Could Josh Allen be played naked in a small single entry?
I think so. I think we discussed this before, me and JSU, that he's tough to pair with. If you make the argument in most tournaments, people are going to pair him with Diggs. First of all, it's a huge salary issue for the rest of your lineup, especially with other areas to really take some shots in. And the other options are volatile, right? Dawson Knox or Beasley or Emmanuel Sanders. I'm okay with running him naked myself.
Panthers or Bears D, Macho Man?
If you have Montgomery in your lineup, Bears. If not, Panthers.
Wiggy. JSU, can you talk about the Cleveland pass catchers? Do you have any interest?
No, I got interest in one Cleveland guy, and his name is Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb.
And he's gonna fucking oh my god. Holden, how good of a play is Nick Chubb today?
I already told you, dude. I got 66.6 repeating percent of Nick Chubb. I've got Nick Chubb touchdown prop, Nick Chubb 100 yards plus a touchdown prop, Nick Chubb 2 touchdown props. So as long as his legs don't fall off, he's gonna be fine.
I'm gonna pull a big T here. I love it.
You love it. I love it. But we're the Nick Chubb truthers. I mean, nobody plays Nick Chubb more than us. But yes.
Yeah, that is true also. We definitely.
How does he not go bonkers today? Just completely nuts. Seriously.
I don't honestly, I don't know. Like
Baker's hurt. I mean, he's not feeling good. They don't have Donovan Peoples-Jones, so what are they left with?
Listen, this is how I feel. So I think that not only that, the dude had, this is my opinion, but the dude had a week off. He's got fresh legs. He's got fresh legs. They just ran Dearness Johnson into the ground last week. Nick Chubb has got fresh legs. They're going to run him. Like, they're going to use him. And, yeah, if they get up a big, yes, will that spell disaster for Nick Chubb? Because, maybe towards the end, he gets hooked and he doesn't play in the fourth quarter. Possible. Very, very possible. But if that happens, you have to think he had some chances for some big plays, some touchdowns, right, Holden? Like, okay, does he get in? Does Baker somehow – yeah, but I'm saying, like, this is how he fails. Does Baker somehow, like, miraculously have a 4-touchdown game? Does the defense go nuts and score 2 touchdowns somehow because terrible quarterback play on the other side? Like ways where Nick Chubb could just have like a mediocre game. You know what I mean? Because at 7-8, Holden, we need him to beat Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon. These are good running backs. Those are other good running backs, but we're going to get him at lower ownership because of it.
JJ from the bet side, where are you on Nick Chubb today? How high, how low, ambivalent? Where are you on him?
Let me ask you guys this. What do you think his ownership is going to be in tournaments?
I thought it was going to be high. And
I think it's going to be like 5%.
See, I thought he was going to be like 12 to 15. Everybody's telling me I'm crazy. So
I will definitely have more exposure than 10%. But I'm not like slamming the lock button on Chubb. I do think it's a great spot. I think his price is not where ideally I'd like it to be.
Where do you want his price?
Low 7Ks. I mean, above mid-tier 7K on a day where you can play a bunch of cheap options at running back. He's just a little hard to squeeze in my opinion. But like I said, I still have exposure. Definitely more than 10% exposure. Just definitely going to be somewhere between 10 and 20. Okay.
I think that's quite a bit of exposure too, though. How did he not make your core this week, JSU?
Who? Nick Chubb?
Yeah.
There's so many good friggin' running backs. You could put him in my core. I mean, you can use him in my core. Like, there's so many good running backs. But yeah, I mean, and I love Dalvin Cook. I think Dalvin Cook has a good game against Green Bay. Everyone's talking about how, Green Bay's defense is, I've heard people say elite, sneaky, good. Like, no,
it's good.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but this is a matchup that I think they're going to struggle against with Minnesota in Minnesota. Just to give, so they played KC in Seattle the last 2 games. Those teams don't run the football. They don't pride themselves on running the football. They're not good at it either. Seattle's not that good at it. KC just wants to sling it. Minnesota is going to run the football. They're going to try and keep Aaron Rodgers off the field. Dalvin Cook had 6 touchdowns in 2 meetings last year against this Green Bay team. That's what they did. That's going to be their strategy again. Run Dalvin Cook, try and keep Aaron Rodgers off the field and win the game. I think Dalvin Cook is in a great spot as well. So that's the problem. Like, I love Nick Chubb. I think Dalvin Cook is a great play. I could see the CMC argument too. If people are like, no, CMC is the best play, I could see that argument. Like, because Cam can't throw the ball like that far. He's going to throw the ball to CMC. So
if Dalvin goes off today, I'm fucked because I got 0 Dalvin. I just don't play enough lineups to get him in there.
Yeah, well, you're going to be shit out of luck, I guess.
I know, and I hope he doesn't do that. And I know you got him a lot of them though, so I'm not going to openly root against you. I'm just rooting
You
against
just
him.
did. Dunkel, did you hear that? He pretty much just said he's not rooting against me, but he's rooting against me. That's what he just did.
He's been a pathological liar for quite some time, JSU.
Yeah, this is bullshit.
Not true. I'm not the pathological liar.
Who is then?
My ex-wife. You better relax, bro. On DK, Adams and Knox or Kelsey and T. Higgins? Adams, Knox, Kelsey, Higgins.
Kelsey Higgins for me.
You mad, bro? Is it okay to play 2 tight ends today? When is it not?
I want to be clear. It is always, in my opinion, okay to play 2 tight ends. Either it's a good day to do it or it's a bad day to do it. But when it's a bad day to do it, you're going to get better exposure or less exposure, which gives you more leverage. With that said, I don't weekly throw out 2 tight end lineups, but I think it's always in play because it makes you different.
Yeah, I will just say this. There are so many good running back plays, but at the same time, it's going to keep the 2 tight end builds way lower owned than even on normal weeks. Because normal weeks, they're not very popular anyways, JJ, for the most part. So I think on a week like this, from an ownership standpoint, you can make the case. I will not be doing it, though, just from the standpoint. There's too many good running backs for me. We just talked about 3 stud running backs that are all in good spots. There's so many value running backs. We didn't even talk about Deonto Foreman, however you say his name. I agree with Tony that I think he's going to end up, being the guy who gets more touches this week against Houston. Perfect matchup for him. Going to be low owned. So he's another cheap guy that we didn't even touch on. There's just so many good options here.
Okay, let's continue with these questions. Can you go Debo, Jeff Wilson together?
Debo, Jeff Wilson together. I mean, I hate answering these type of questions because I got one of the guys, my second highest owned exposure wide receiver, and the other guy is one of my top running back exposure. So, I mean, yes, you can, but one's cheap and one's expensive, but I think they both can do enough to hit their price tag. Yes.
Okay. Where else are we going here? The Debo talk makes me hard. Thank you, KMB Squid. Last piece, Thielen, Devontae Smith, or Pittman? D. Burns wants to know. Thielen, Devontae Smith, or Pittman?
Yeah, Thielen for me. The main reason there is it's just been one of those trends for Thielen recently where he's kind of been playing second fiddle. His price has come down because of it a bit, at least on DK. I really like the spot today. Like I said, I think that Minnesota offense moves the ball today. Jefferson probably gets a little more looks from Green Bay, and you could have a day where Thielen has his typical, 8-9 catch, 90-yard, 100-yard type of day, and if he gets in the box, even better. Especially at 666, it's kind of crazy.
It's kind of crazy. I'm with you. Montgomery or Foreman?
Montgomery for me.
Yeah, same here. Montgomery.
Steven's trying to decide a 2v2 and a DK single entry. Browns and Monty or Bears and Connor? Just a lot of Monty Connor questions today. It's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, they're right in that range.
Same range.
Dylan, Connor, Monty. I think people are falling on 2 of those 3 running backs in that range, JJ. I think that's the most popular. I think that's the most popular build, honestly, is if you're building out your lineup and you play 2 of 3 of Monty, Dylan, and Connor, and then you leave one space open for Jeffrey Wilson. So those 4, I do think Monty is the lowest owned of those 4, though, just to be clear. So I don't think as many will adjust to the news like we have, where we, now I have more exposure to Monty over Connor, but I don't think most people will do that even. So, because I think Connor's also in a good spot. It's a great matchup. great matchup. And Connor sees the field a ton. I mean, he saw 80% of the snaps or whatever it was last week, and they were getting their asses kicked.
Maybe. Favorite flex guy, 3.2K and below on DK. Cedric Wilson and Rashard Higgins are there. Where's Pringle too? What is he? 3-3?
My cheap guys that I got: Cedric Pringle, and then I think like you could take a shot on a Prochet and like MME type stuff. But
I think Higgins is interesting too, JSU, right? 3,200. The dude should see what 60 to 70% snap share today. Should.
Yeah, Baker. Yeah. He was one of the guys that liked the Odell Instagram post, and Baker hasn't even looked at him since. It's really interesting. But you don't think that shit matters, do you, JJ?
It shouldn't matter. I mean, if NFL players are that petty, I mean, yikes. But
they're pretty petty.
I'm with JJ. That shouldn't matter.
That shouldn't matter. All right, good.
It shouldn't matter.
Debo, Dalvin, or Jefferson? Last piece, 8.2K from Niche. Debo, Cook, or Jefferson?
Debo, Cook, or Jefferson?
Hey, JJ, while he's looking at that, we just talked about Thielen, right? As a run back to Thielen. Like, if you're running it back, would you run it back with Thielen?
Yeah, I think your run back has to be either Thielen or Dalvin.
Okay.
I don't think you can run back with Jefferson because he's too pricey, which makes it difficult around your whole lineup construction.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if you're going to stack Green Bay, I think your run back either has to be Dalvin, who's another guy who can be game script independent at times as well, and Thielen is a really good run back, especially if Green Bay does pile on points.
Yeah.
Thielen likely scores at least one touchdown.
JSU, Debo, Cook, or Jefferson?
Debo, Cook, or Jefferson? I think Cook is safer. I think Debo, honestly, though, might be my favorite play of those guys.
With the ceiling. Okay. Montgomery, Ingram, or Waddle from Stan? Montgomery, Ingram, Waddle.
Montgomery for me.
Kind of like Waddle a little bit today.
Montgomery, yeah.
Monty's going to get the touches. Devo versus AJ Brown. We've done that one. Debo, EJ Hockey. What's up, EJ? How are you, buddy? Single entry, Allen, Dak, or Mahomes? You mad, bro? Ooh, that's a good problem. Allen, Dak, or Mahomes? Allen's going to have less ownership.
Yeah, I think if it's cash, Dak. If it's tournament, Allen, and Mahomes, I guess you can use in either probably. But I would lean heavier in cash towards Dak, heavier in tournament towards Allen, and then Mahomes to me is viable in both.
Boom. What do you guys think about going Chubb, Monty, and or Mixon instead of the chalky running backs? Dude, I love Chubb and Mixon. I'll say that. That's all I got for you. I love Chubb and Mixon. So, and you guys are on Montgomery, so why not? You're just going to have to save money at wide receiver then, right? Because instead of going with the cheap guys with Dylan and Wilson and Ingram and whoever the hell else you're going with, you're going to have to go cheaper at wide receiver. It's as simple as that. Chubb and the Browns, D, lock. Okay, thank you, Teamster. Teamster's throwing that out there. Thoughts on a Newton CMC stack? Volker, we kind of talked about that. Didn't really seem like anybody really loved him. Russ with Lockett or DK? Yeah, we kind of talked about Lockett. What do you think about Russ today overall? I wonder if it's one of those things where Dak looked like he was bad the first week he came back. Rodgers did too. I just wonder if Russ bounced back this week, guys.
I mean, Russ could bounce back. I don't know. He looked bad. He could bounce back, though, so I'm not going to throw it completely out, but I'm not on it. I'm not really on Russ. I don't mind DK, but, yeah, I think it's just more like a tournament lower owned type play, DK, whereas Russ might be a little too much for me this week.
CMC Pringle or Jeff Wilson and Kelsey. CMC Pringle or Jeff Wilson and Kelsey.
I prefer CMC and Pringle myself.
Prefer CMC Pringle.
Yeah, Pringle.
I don't. Was it Jeff or Cedric Wilson?
That had to be Jeff. Yes, Jeff.
So maybe okay. So maybe I'm okay. No, for whatever reason, I thought that meant Cedric.
No, we're going Jeff. You're fine with Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay, good. You're right. Thank you for the tip there, buddy, on the Chubb anytime score touchdown score. There is a limit on that, but yeah, he said even money. He better fucking score today, or I'm gonna be broke. Based on the past 2 Bengals games, Josh Jacobs gonna have a big day? Question mark from silence. I saw him on Hoops. Playbook. I have a hard time ever playing that dude though.
Yeah, he always gets injured.
Always.
I just can't play him.
No.
If he goes off, he goes off. I
JJ?
can't do it.
Yeah, I mean,
All right.
it is what it is. We're talking about Chubb?
No, we're talking about
Josh Jacobs.
Oh,
Josh
Jacobs. I mean, do we even know if he's fully healthy? Like, it's tilting. Last week was one of my favorite bets of the week, him to go over his rushing receiving number, and he was barely on the field.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The boys, DKGPP, Jeff Wilson and Pittman, or Connor and Higgins? Wilson, Pittman, Connor, Higgins.
Wilson, Pittman, Connor, Higgins. I'm going to go Wilson, Pittman.
Yeah.
Is it okay to play A.J. Dillon and Dalvin in the same lineup on FanDuel? It's from Max Hankins.
Oh, yeah, why not?
I mean, maybe he's thinking one team's going to blow the other. They're not going to get the same game script.
No, I actually like the correlation of playing both of them.
I like it too. CMC Pringle or Jeff Wilson Kelsey. We just did that one. Wilson or Foreman, DK single entry. Already have Debo, can be squid. I already got Debo. Do I go Jeff Wilson or Dante Foreman?
I go Jeff Wilson or Dante Foreman.
Yeah.
I mean, one will be much lower owned than the other. So, I mean, we know who is the better play. You're obviously asking this like, you got to make that decision, in my opinion, where it's like, you know that Jeff Wilson's the safer play. Donta Foreman is the lower owned leverage play off of Jeff Wilson, where if Jeff Wilson busts and Donta Foreman has a big game, you're going to be sitting pretty ahead of probably 50% of the ownership, right, Dunkel, in your tournaments that play Jeffrey Wilson over Donta Foreman. So that's just, I think, a question you have to answer. If you're fine with taking big risks, then the Foreman side, for sure, especially if your lineup feels chalky as is and you feel like you need to make a pivot for some lower ownership, that would make sense. Now, if this lineup has like a Russ stack, if it's like Russell Wilson stacked up with like AJ Green on the comeback and it's got lower owned guys and DK Metcalf, well, then maybe take the chalkier play, because you don't need like lower ownership leverage plays. You already have it within your stack, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, Big T changed his whole core around, by the way. Holy moly.
Big T's so funny. He's like on the Print Factory show, JJ. I'm glad you're on this. He's like, I think I'm gonna have a different take than everyone on the old Dallas side. I don't like them. I don't like the Dallas side this week. I think they get absolutely smacked. Dunkel, you were there for this, right? Like you remember this, right? And then all of a sudden, last night, I look. It's like 2 a.m. The NBA slate just finished up, or like 1:30, whatever it was. And I'm putting in my core, and I put it in, and then I look over at Big T's core, and I realize his core is like the exact same as mine with a Dak stack. But there's like one player different, and he's got a full Dak stack. He's got Gallup, and he had Dalton Schultz too. It was like so he has like the same Dak stack as me with Tyreek Hill on the bring back. After telling us on Wednesday how he's going to have a different take and that he hates the Dallas side, I'm like, oh God. So now it feels better that he's at least switching to Josh Allen, because we all know he loves that game. It's killing him. He can't play Carson Wentz, right? In his core. You know that, right? It's killing him. Oh, it's definitely killing him.
He loves him.
He could, realistically, right?
Yeah, he could. He's cheap. Come on, Big T. Grow some balls. You got Pittman in that team. Change it to Carson Wentz. Come on, show us what you got.
How bad of a play is Mark Ingram?
I don't. I'm off Ingram with Pace. I'm back. Suck my balls.
He says, suck your balls in all caps. Wow.
It's all right, buddy. You want a hug? It's all right. You want to hug Tony?
My balls.
I'm sorry. I just thought it was hilarious that he's like, oh, I got a different take than everyone on this game. Dunkle's trying to be nice to him. He didn't even want to like say anything about
Dunkle,
it.
are you done?
He knows that Tony totally flipped his take. It's fine.
I'm just staying in my lane is all, boys. I'm just staying
Well,
in my
I mean, Tony told me the boss just told me to suck it, so I got to stop.
That was kind of mean, honestly.
I'm gonna get in trouble if I don't, because I'll get yelled at. So, I'm gonna get a phone call after this show. So
that was a little bit mean. I'm gonna be.
I can't mess up. I can't mess up, Boss T. I'm sorry I offended you, Boss T.
No way this is happening right now. Okay.
I mean, it's better than Movie Star. Or do we like Movie Star? I'm kind of partial to Movie Star, actually. I'm a fan of it.
Movie Star?
Star. Yeah, Star.
You're a movie star. Okay.
Yeah, he is. He's a movie star. Let me get Ingram versus, Tambo, book that. Hopefully Ingram gets you more than 15, so you can finally pick someone who's gotten you more than 15. Your dusty ass takes.
JSU pound for pound for the price at running back. Who's your favorite play? Taking price into consideration with their upside.
Taking price. I would probably have to, I'm going to say David Montgomery.
Oh, really? Okay, so you're much higher on him.
I'm very high on him, yeah. He's a core play on FanDuel for me. I got him as a core play on FanDuel. So my highest owned running backs are literally my highest owned exposure to running back is David Montgomery, Jeff Wilson, AJ Dillon.
Yeah, Dillon. I was actually surprised you didn't say Dillon there, but I guess I could see because on FanDuel, what's the name's price is much cheaper too, right?
My three running backs in my core are Dillon, Jeff Wilson, and Montgomery. Those are my three core plays on FanDuel. they're all in my core. There's so many good plays, but like those guys for the price. I mean, if it's going to be, I'll tell you right now, if these cheap running backs go off, even if McCaffrey gets 35, even if Dalvin Cook gets you 35, like, man, if these cheap running backs get you 20, you're going to be sitting real nice with some stud receivers to finish out your build. You know what I mean? So those builds are going to be tough to beat if those cheap running backs get you in there, Yeah,
and I'm definitely going to be above the field on Dillon. To me, you're getting a guy that if there was no Dillon in play, people would willingly pay, in my opinion. Like if you knew Dillon was out, like you'd probably willingly pay up to like 75 or 8K for Aaron Jones today, right? In the matchup. I think that no Aaron Jones and Dillon's proved to be at times better, and you're getting him at 6,200 with severely high upside against Minnesota's defense. So Dillon, I think, despite his recent price bump, I think with the matchup with Jones being out, I still think he's way underpriced.
He's probably the best chalk play. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Dillon? Yeah.
I told you to suck my one ball in
I saw. That's why I laughed.
I actually have two, but
hold my laugh.
I have two, but I figured I'd just say I had one. Debo or Chubb if I'm fading Jeff Wilson from Brick.
If you're not playing Jeff Wilson, play some Debo. Get the eruption. Hopefully because you're gonna want like Debo to steal a rushing touchdown. You're gonna want the eruption, or like maybe Kittle. For San Francisco, don't play anyone else. Those are the three guys you can play: Kittle, Debo, Jeff Wilson. Don't play anyone else.
We got 3.5 minutes. Let's just hit the names out here: Dylan Ingram, Monty Connor. Dylan Ingram or Monty and Connor from the Green Ranger?
Dylan Ingram, Monty Connor. Monty Connor for me.
Can I play Mooney and Monty in the same lineup on DK from Bogard? That's a lot of Bears, man.
Mooney and Monty. Well, you getting the number one receiver and the number one. I'd probably just stick to one personally. Okay.
Pinto got Flo. Komet or Troutman?
Troutman.
Troutman's lower owned.
I think Troutman's actually a really sneaky play. I didn't play him at tight end, but great matchup. Philly sucks against the tight ends, and Simeon's been using him as like a check down guy. Like he's a target of his, so I don't mind the Troutman call.
Dylan Troutman or Foreman Schultz? Dylan Troutman, Foreman Schultz.
Dylan Troutman, Foreman Schultz. I'm gonna go Foreman Schultz. I just added some Higgins too, by the way.
You
just
did?
added a little Higgins, yeah. Because you're right. There's just no one else there.
Who's catching passes for them exactly?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's nobody.
Nobody. You're right.
Yeah.
It's no bueno.
Maybe Nick Chubb catches some passes.
Rolo, Lockett or Waddle? Just give me like three of those. That's fine. Lockett or Waddle?
I'm not on Waddle at all. I guess I'll go Lockett, even though I don't really have much of him either.
Joe Bald not happy with me that he lost one nut in cancer. I respect you for being a cancer survivor, Joe Bald. I do a lot of work with that, but come on. It's one ball. It's okay. John Kruk makes fun of having one ball. You can too. Pinto got Flo. McCaffrey and AJ Brown, or Chubb and Justin Jefferson? McCaffrey, AJ Brown, Chubb, Justin Jefferson. Doesn't sound like you're huge on the
McCaffrey, AJ Brown.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like you're huge on Justin Jefferson today, huh?
No, I just like Dalvin. I think it's a Dalvin game. So
okay. All right, guys. I think we're done with the questions if we got anything else, but kind of covered everything here. What do we got with the Showdown show coming up tonight, right, JSU?
Yep, Showdown show tonight. Mangone, Bobby Gomes, Rubio, they get on around 7 p.m. Eastern time, and they'll take you, most of the time they take you, I'm pretty sure, right up the lock. So, yeah, check those guys out. Should be a good show. Okay.
I think we're done with the questions. If you got any more final thoughts, by all means, go ahead and do so.
No, I mean, this is going to be a real interesting slate. That one Allen stack, I did end up just running Diggs with it because I couldn't find a way to get it, and you scared me off Cole Beasley. So thanks, Holden, for doing that.
We'll see. I always say this: who is the more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows it?
Okay? You said that on the last 2 shows,
and then what happened?
I don't know, but I don't like it.
Okay, it's just Obi-Wan Kenobi. Saying. It's just Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, is it Star Wars? Is that what it is?
The original.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Who is the more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows?
And I actually don't mind Star Wars either. There's some people that I bet you Big T never even watched Star Wars.
It's the best. The original 3 are the best.
I'm talking about the original 3.
Yeah.
I bet she's never even seen it.
Star Wars though. Or better yet, imagine liking Star Trek more than Star Wars.
Oh God. All right. It's locked. Let's get the fuck out of here. Go watch some football. JJ, good to see you, pal. JSU, always good to see you. I'm Holden. Simon, get us out of here.